Hello, hello, it's Agnes Vivarelli with another Neville Nugget for you. And today it's from the book, The Law and the Promise. So the nugget goes like this. How do you do it? He's talking about how do you manifest something. Self-abandonment. This is the secret. You must abandon yourself mentally to your wish fulfilled in your love of that state, and in so doing, live in the new state and no more in the old state. You can't commit yourself to what you do not love. So the secret of self-commission is faith plus love. Faith is believing what is unbelievable. Commit yourself to the feeling of the wish fulfilled in faith that this act of self-commission will become a reality. And it must become a reality because imagining creates reality. So, self-abandonment, committing yourself to the new state. So I'm going to give you an example again of a story. When I was working as a retail shop assistant, I had this wonderful person that used to come in and do all the visual displays for the shop. And I remember thinking, wow, how did that person get that job? I'd love to do that job, because I was feeling quite trapped and uncreative, just selling homewares. So I asked them, I said, so, how did you get into this? And they told me that they did a course and that they enjoyed then working little bits here and there, and then it turned into more full-time over time. So I thought, well, I'm going to see if I can do a little bit of training with them while they're in my store. So that's what I did. And every week when they came, or twice a week, I would do some hands-on helping them do the displays and asking them questions and all that stuff. Now, in imagination, I was imagining going from shop to shop, being free, being creative, and enjoying this new work of mine. So I was abandoning myself to the new state as much as I could and letting go of the old state. Even though I was still living it in 3D, I would get so excited when I was doing this stuff with this person that it would propel me into that new state quite easily. So, did this for quite some time, maybe a year and a half, and then there was this guy that I really, really liked, and he used to do the displays in another store a few doors down, and he was a really big extrovert, and he'd always pop his head in and say, hello, love, and we'd have a chat, and it ended up that I said to him, oh, your job looks amazing, and and we had a chat about where I was and where I wanted to go. Anyway, some months later, he popped in, and I'd been doing my writing every day, half an hour while I was at work, when it was quiet and there was no customers. I'm happy and grateful now that I now work creatively only. I love what I do. I work half the hours for twice the pay. And I continued to do this every day because I was really trying to stay out of, I don't want to be here. So he walks in one day, some months later, and he says, do you want to get out of here? I said, yeah, I do. And he said, look, there's a guy I know. He wants someone to work in his shop, but he wants that person to be mainly the display and interior styling person. It's called visual merchandising in retail. So I use the word visual merchandising. And I said to him, great. So I rang this guy, told him about the recommendation that I'd had, and we organized to meet. Now, all the while I was mentally abandoning myself to the new state of living in this creative world with creative people, getting paid, twice, as I was saying, I work half the hours for twice the pay, and I'd say that over and over and over. So I ended up, went to see him, we organized that I would work with him, and basically within a week I had resigned from my job and left, and I started the following week. Now, my wage went up double from doing what I was doing, and then from that position, 3 years later, I continued to still want to do the visual merchandising full time. So I continued to imagine being free, working in different stores, because that part hadn't happened yet. I was working in one enormous store, but I was still only working in one place. And I like to move around. Being a creative person, I don't like being trapped in one room. So I continued these, not daily, I probably did it weekly because, I still had a good job. So I wasn't under this huge amount of I hate my job pressure at that time. So I kept doing that. And then the same guy that got me this job came in and we had a chat. And again, after I went to see him, he said, look, there's someone I'm working for and it's getting too big. Do you want to come and hop on board with me? So I went and hopped on board with him. And then I went from doubling my income to tripling my income per hour, and then obviously per day and per week. So that living in the state, having faith and abandoning myself to it, even though, as you can see, it didn't happen overnight. I went from the first job to the first creative job. That took about 18 months. And then from the 18 months to the next job took about 3 years. So it did take some time. Maybe it could have been faster if I had done it more consistently, but it still happened. And I had a lot of resistance at that time because I was feeling trapped and wanting to get out of this one room. So I had to override that. And that, when you walk in at 9 o'clock in the morning and you're going to be stuck in one room all day, the feeling of trappedness was what I had to overcome. And that was quite challenging for me at the time. It did happen. So there's the story. I work half the hours for twice the pay, and I work with creative people, and I love what I do. Those were the kinds of affirmations that I would say. And yeah, so just know that even though things don't happen super quickly sometimes, they still moved into my perfect work. And it was a really, really fun 3 years. And I worked there at that position for 3 years. And I cut my work back from 5 days down to 4, and then from 4 down to 3 because I was earning a lot more money. So I did end up in the end working half the hours for twice the pay, which meant I was more free to do other things like start this YouTube channel and do the manifesting stuff. So it's good to put into practice the stuff that you're learning it, I'm learning it too. I'm continually learning to apply it more and more in my own life, and I will share the stories bit by bit so you can see that, now that you know me a little bit better, I will share a bit more about how the application of the Neville Imagination Creates Reality and the Law of Attraction and Esther Hicks and all those other wonderful authors that assist us to create. I will share more stories with you as time goes by. So happy manifesting. I'm actually going to put a couple of YouTubes that relate to that time that tell you a bit more in detail what was going on and how I was doing it. I'll put those down in the description for you. Lots of love, happy manifesting, and imagination creates reality.